You're watching Depth of Field on CMAP TV.
Hi, I'm Kathy Bisbee, Executive Director at CMAP. We have a very special episode of Depth of Field tonight that we'd like to share with you. It's about our summer girls camp called Be the Media, where 13 to 18-year-old girls came to CMAP in downtown Gilroy and learned how to do our mobile TriCaster unit, our mobile studio, use the cameras, set up lighting, and actually do their whole show on television. So what follows is their experiences as part of this summer camp. They watched the movie Misrepresentation, a film by Jennifer Seibel Newsom, who's a filmmaker who made a film called Misrepresentation, all about the misrepresentation of women in our culture and in the media. Because American teenagers spend more than 10 hours a day, every day, consuming media, we're concerned that so much of it objectifies women and distorts their bodies. Katie Couric said, "I worry about how much pressure my daughters feel. In a society that features anorexic actresses and models and television stars, we get conditioned to think that this is what women should look like." Gina Davis said, "All of Hollywood is run on one assumption, that women will watch stories about men, but men won't watch stories about women. It is a horrible indictment of our society if we assume that one half of our population is just not even interested in the other half. We think that you'll disagree and that you're interested in the stories of women in our community, women who are leaders, women who we respect and who are heroes, and everyday women who are doing their best to represent women to their daughters, to each other, and especially to these young girls who have courageously become the media this week themselves."
Hello, my name is Jasmine and I will be your host. I'm here in downtown CMAP office with Corinne, editor of the Gilroy Patch, and welcome to a new episode of Depth of Field. What did you face around discrimination?
I mean, as far as discrimination in my career in, the field of journalism, I don't feel that I faced, blatant discrimination. I have noticed that, in some situations where I'm at a news conference that I might get some looks, but I think that could have something to do with my age. I'm fairly young, and this is my first job out of college. I think also one of the issues is that I feel that I may be judged at times because I know that women in total are in so many ways, and so that thought's already there, and I think that can influence my perception of how I'm being perceived by others. But I wouldn't say that as of yet I've experienced much discrimination or any that I'm too aware of.
With the discrimination that you have faced, how did you deal with it?
I mean, if I feel like I might be treated differently because I'm either a woman or because of my age, it's just something that I have to be aware of, but I can't allow it to affect me because there's a job that still has to be done. And so I just move forward. And if I have insecurities, I can go back and I can question it later. It doesn't have to just be dropped and never addressed again. I can go back and wonder, why do I feel this way? Or why does this person seem to have an issue with me or to be treating me differently? And I can also go and ask them if I really want to. So I mean, finding an answer to that feeling is how I would address it and then move forward from there.
How did you feel about it?
About being discriminated against? Well, I mean, it's always, because it wasn't very obvious, I mean, it's just maybe a couple looks here and there. I don't, I mean, I think that it's something that I've just really come to expect, especially, in the field of journalism. It's very competitive. Everyone's going after the same story. And I don't know if it's so much my sex or my age, or if it's just, trying to beat the other person. I don't really allow it to affect me. I think that if I did and I, became upset, then I would just be putting myself at a disadvantage. And ultimately, you want to do the best job that you can so that women can continue to succeed and show that we are as capable as anyone else as a man to do any job.
How would you say you found the courage to persevere?
A lot of it is just understanding, understanding the women's movement, understanding how far we've come, and understanding the limitations that we still face. And I think that if you can take it from an educational perspective, then, you can just understand that this is an obstacle that we face, is something that is part of our lives. But, you can move forward and know that it's not you, it's just a societal kind of norm that we have to overcome, but that you can't take it personally because it's not just one woman, it's just the perception.
What advice would you give to other girls?
Pretty much, to just not allow it to get you down. If you feel that you're being mistreated or not getting what you deserve, and you think that it has to do with your sex or your age or your race or whatever it is, then to question it. Don't be a silent, partner. Just don't stand there and think that you don't deserve a reason why, because we have a voice and we can use it. So my recommendation would be to just go full force and pursue what you want, and if you encounter interference along the way, to question it and find an answer so that you can make sense of it and move beyond.
If you could make any change in the world, what would it be?
As far as a change for the betterment of women, I would say that I really would just like women in general, and especially young girls, to have more of a sisterhood or have more unity. Often you'll hear guys, and I've experienced it a lot of times with my brother, with guy friends, with boyfriend, with them saying that it seems that girls are hard on each other more so than men. And that's something that I definitely agree with. It's something that I've experienced growing up, all through elementary school up through high school. And we are so critical, and if we're always attacking each other, then how are we ever going to address a bigger issue or really be perceived as something better and not so petty? So if I could change one thing for women, it would be just to have more of a unified bond and to back each other up. Because if we were, we could really be a force to be reckoned with.
I'm here at the downtown CMAP office with Executive Director of CMAP TV, Mrs. Kathy. What did you face around discrimination?
So as a woman, I faced a number of challenges in my lifetime around discrimination. I've been in business meetings where, I think I told you the story earlier, where a man literally stared at my chest the entire meeting. It's very awkward to say anything, but it was so obvious that my boss actually apologized to me after the meeting. But it was really difficult because I felt like the person who was staring at me, was just seeing me as an object. He wasn't seeing me for the intelligent person that I am, or for the skills that I have, or for who I am as a human being. And that was really, really difficult. And I've had other experiences too, where men haven't respected me based on either my age or being a woman. My math teacher, when I was in 4th grade, actually told me that girls don't need to be good in math or technology, and I really learned how to deal with that my whole life by just proving them wrong. Yeah.
So how did you deal with all of it?
Well, I think one of the things that's really important is to reach out to other women and to talk about it. Because sometimes what happens is people don't talk about it, and then we don't know, we think we're alone in that struggle. So to really talk about it, to share what's true for you. I think the other area that's really hard is, as a woman, my husband says, gosh, it's so hard for you to worry about violence so much, because there's so much more violence against women, both in the media and also in real life. And so we walk around with a lot more fear. And so I think one of the things that I did is I took a self-defense class to try to feel more confident in myself and to feel like I was more aware of what's going on around me, because it was a very real concern. And so I think it's really important to become a leader as a woman, and to show that everything a man can do, a woman can do also.
Exactly.
Yeah.
How did you feel?
With those experiences?
Yes.
I mean, I think, when I was younger, it was very challenging. I felt bad about myself. I've always been a rather full-figured gal, so I was never skinny. And so I think that was a challenge, with all the things that we see in the media about how we're supposed to look, really skinny, and I just wasn't built that way. So that was really hard. I mean, I think in my youth, I was really kind of depressed. And then at some point, I just realized, like, oh, I like who I am. I feel really good about who I am as a person. And so that's really how I dealt with it, was I just decided to let my feelings about myself be what dictated how I behaved in the world.
That's great.
Not other people's.
Okay.
Yeah.
How did you find the courage to persevere?
Well, definitely talking with other women. Also, I've had a lot of male supporters who really saw that women were being discriminated against, and they helped, both men and women helped to mentor me and give me opportunities that I might not have had. For example, I'm a filmmaker, and only, I think, 10% of documentary filmmaker directors are women. So I'm in that 10%. So finding other female directors, both for nonprofit directing, but also film directing, that I could talk to and say, hey, can you help me out? Can you help me find that network of other people who could help me to get ahead? And that's been really a big part of my support network.
I want to read you this small quote of the movie we saw called Misrepresentation.
Great movie.
1 in 4 women will be abused by a partner in their lifetime. 1 in 6 women are survivors of rape or attempted rape. I think that that's a very sad thing, and that it shouldn't be allowed to happen, and that women should be able to live comfortably and not be afraid, because this is a really big number, and
Definitely.
It's concerning. Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Well, let me tell you one thing really quickly.
Yes.
So the best way for women to change that stereotype and to not be afraid is to get together with other women and do things like what you girls are doing, to become the media and learn how to use media tools to change people's opinions about women and have women get more respect.
Hi, this is Lindy Barroso, and we're here with Be the Media Girls from Boot Camp. We're in downtown Gilroy, where we're going to be interviewing people on their opinions and how they feel about pictures in the media.
Hi, I'm Jessica. I'm here with Sandra and Victoria. And I'm asking you guys a couple questions, okay? So, do you guys feel pressured by the media to look a certain way?
Yeah, definitely, with like all the pretty girls in magazines and on the TV. It's like a lot of pressure to look a certain way.
Well, I feel like media pressures you to look like, they want like the typical model, that you'll never see in real life. Like, they want you to be really skinny, they want you to have perfect skin, perfect straight hair, and like they want you to be tall, and like no one really looks like that, It's not realistic.
Yeah. I know what you mean. Have you ever been judged by the way you look?
Yeah, people cast judgments like right away, like as soon as they see you, they'll just like judge you. They don't really like care about getting to know you anymore. Like, they just make judgments off of how you look and how you dress.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure everyone's judged at first, but it depends on how you present yourself also, Like, if you don't want people looking at you in a negative way, then you shouldn't dress in a bad way or something, But I mean, I definitely think that you should be able to like freely express yourself.
Yeah. And do you feel like the images you see on TV, ads, and in movies represent your world?
I feel like sometimes it represents how shallow people can be, or like how much we care about looks and how superficial our society is.
Hi, I'm Jessica. I'm here with Sue. Hi, Sue.
Hi, Jessica.
Do you feel pressured by the media to look a certain way, and why?
You know, when I was your age and maybe a little older, I probably did feel very pressured to look a certain way. I know I used to have my hair just so and my clothes just so, and everything had to match. Well, things still have to match, but I'm less pressured by how other people tell me I should look. Now I kind of accept me for who I am, and I dress the way I like to dress. So thank you for asking me that.
And have you ever been judged by the way you look?
I'm sure I have, and I'm sure if I'd known, I might have been very sensitive about it. It might not have always made me feel very good, but I don't know today if I am so much, perhaps. Nobody tells me that, though. Have they told you that?
No.
Because you look very cute in that hat.
Thank you. And do you feel like the images you see on TV ads and in movies represent your world?
They represent a part of the world that I live in, but not my particular sphere and my influence area. So those ladies and gentlemen that are in those pictures and on those ads, I think that they might be a little more sophisticated and a little more model-ish than what I'm used to being around. I don't see that in Gilroy so much. Now, on the local TV stations and in the local ads on the Gilroy Dispatch, for example, those are real people that I even know. So they do represent a lot of the people that I know and work with. But the ones in big magazines like Vogue and things, not so much.
Do you feel pressured by the media to look a certain way, and why?
I do, and yes, the magazines out there when you're standing at the grocery store, and I'm a mother of 4, so I'm tired and I don't always want to put makeup on or, get ready to do my hair, but then you're standing in line and you see all the covers of the magazines with girls with makeup done and beautiful dresses on or outfits, so yeah, it's out there. And on television, all of the commercials they show are always in the public eye, what the public thinks is what you're supposed to look like.
Okay. Have you ever been judged by the way you look?
Yes, I have.
And do you feel like the images you see on TV, ads, and in movies represent your world?
Not my world, but I'm sure some people get influenced by movies all the time, or music, television. I try to limit that kind of stuff in my house so it doesn't affect us outside in our real world.
Hi, this is Ellie from Girls Media Camp, and I am here today with Chief Turner from the Gilroy Police Department. Hi, Chief Turner. How are you doing today?
Great, Ellie. Thank you.
Good. So we wanted to ask you a couple questions, and the first one is, why were you interested in being on the police force, and what motivated you?
I'll tell you what motivated me the most was my family was from law enforcement. So my father and my uncle were both police officers in the Portland Police Department, Portland, Oregon. And then my 2 older sisters became police officers as well.
Oh.
And I thought if they could do it, I could do it too. So I grew up with law enforcement in my family, and they were my inspiration. They were my mentors. They really helped me get into law enforcement. And it was always my mom and my dad telling me, you can be anything you want to be. You don't have to follow tradition.
Did you ever feel uncomfortable being around mostly men in the workplace?
Early in my career, I was a little intimidated. And really, it's because you wanted to not fail. You wanted to show them that women could do anything they wanted to do. You wanted to show them that they could count on you as a backup, to be a partner out on the street. Because otherwise, they would be worried that some girl couldn't handle the job. and then they were going to have officer safety issues. And so I had those issues, so you always had to work harder, smarter, and prove yourself constantly. Whereas I don't think men necessarily had to do that.
Yeah.
So I really, really worked very hard to do it right and to earn their respect. And it took a while to get their respect and their trust. But once I was able to break that barrier with them, my teammates and I were very close. And they treated me just like one of the guys. So they didn't see me as a woman trying to get into their field. They welcomed me and supported me. So, but there was a tough part in the very beginning.
Okay, did you face any discrimination as a woman?
I'll tell you a little bit. There was a couple of people who refused to work with me, male officers, and the reason is their wives didn't want them in the car with me. They felt that I was a threat, and therefore that they didn't think their husband should have to work around me. So there were some people that purposely wouldn't back me up on a call, or wouldn't ride with me, or show up on a call I had. And those people actually, when I went and told the sergeant what had happened, they actually got in trouble because our department at that time had adopted a non-discrimination policy. You can't sexually harass, discriminate anybody based on their gender. So it was early in that law, and because of that law, our department started what they called the EEOC, the Equal Opportunity Employment Act. And then they started recognizing women and minorities as being underrepresented in law enforcement, and therefore they wanted to start hiring and promoting more women and minorities in law enforcement because we were just 1% of the population.
Yeah.
So they put this law, it was a federal law, and they forced our department to start promoting and hiring women. And so because of that law, I was able to obtain the rank of sergeant and lieutenant based on being gender oriented versus being competing with all the guys. So it was very different back in the early 80s. So there was a men's list. I call it the white male list. There was the women and the minority list. And that's how women were able to successfully integrate into law enforcement in the numbers we have now. We're up to 10% now nationwide. So you can see it was a federal law that helped us get into the field and stay into the field and be taken seriously.
Yeah.
And now it's normal. People expect women to be in, and there's no discrimination. But I faced very, very little discrimination, like I mentioned, just a couple of guys. But the rest of my career has been tremendous. People have embraced me, they've opened doors for me, they've mentored me, and given me opportunities that very few women ever get. Like I'm really 1% of the population are women law enforcement executives.
Whoa.
So I'm very blessed to have this level of authority and this responsibility in the city.
Yes. Okay, what are some of the struggles that you faced?
Shift work. Law enforcement, you work 24 hours, 7 days a week, so you're often working different shifts, you're working holidays and weekends, and it takes a toll on your family life. So you don't have as much time with your family and your friends, and you just have to learn how to develop a new family with the family of law enforcement. So you end up being close with them. The other piece, the struggle piece, is dealing with stress. It's a very stressful job. Most people don't realize the things we see and have to do every single day.
Yeah.
And it's a very dangerous profession, and so you have to figure out ways to deal with it physically and emotionally to make your career a good one. Otherwise, you become bitter, angry, distrustful, disconnected from the main population. And I've seen officers do that. I mean, there's some officers that commit suicide because they can't deal with the stress.
Yeah.
So early in my career, I started healthy activities like running, working out, having friends outside of law enforcement, and doing girl things. Like I love to go to the spa and get my nails done. Things that, normally people don't take a lot of time for.
Yeah.
But it's important to have that life balance.
The balance, exactly. So, what does it feel like to be a leader as a woman? Do you feel it's different from a man in your position?
I don't know, because I don't know how men think. I do think that law enforcement chiefs around the U.S., we're there's probably 4,000 of us, but we're the minority, and there aren't as many of us. So nobody really knows what you face, but it's an awesome responsibility. I love it. I think this is the most incredible career I could have ever picked in my life. I've done it for over 30 years now, and I love having a department. I love having a community that I'm responsible for. And I feel like every single day I have to give my best and give back to this community because they entrust us with the ultimate responsibility of protecting themselves and their family.
Yeah.
And that's a huge trust to be placed on us. So I don't want to get it wrong. I want to make sure that people like the Gilroy Police Department, that they can believe in us and that they know we're going to show up and help them when they need us. So being a woman, being a man, chief, I don't know the difference. I've been doing chief's work now for about 10 years, and I've always been treated with the utmost respect and dignity, and I've never really had any difficulty. So perhaps it's the personality, I don't know. I tend to go overboard with caring for my staff and caring for the community and showing them how much I care about them, because that's how we develop good relationships.
Yeah, it's very true. So, what advice do you have for young women entering into male-dominated fields or positions of power?
So I think that you never want to take yourself too seriously. You have to be able to laugh at yourself because everyone's laughing at you. And to have thick skin, Eleanor Roosevelt, she's one of my idols, right? She once coined the phrase that if you're going to be a woman in public life, or like career in law enforcement or a public official, you have to have skin as thick as rhinoceros skin. You can imagine a rhinoceros, massively thick skin.
Yeah.
And that means generally you just have to let stuff roll off your back. Take it in stride, learn from it, embrace it, and don't get angry. Don't get hung up in all the stuff that's going on nowadays. Don't get involved in the politics. Just do your job, keep your chin up, be professional. And my core belief is treat every single person you come across with dignity and respect, even if it's a bad guy and they're having the worst day of their life and they're yelling, screaming obscenities at you or spitting on you, or you're fighting with them because you have to arrest them. If you treat them with some decorum of respect, they are going to remember that, and they're going to respect you and maybe not fight next time or eventually go along with the program. But then at least you know you've done your job.
Yeah.
So those are my pearls of wisdom. Women should be able to do anything they want. They should be able to dominate a male-dominated workforce and change that. We bring something special to the table, and in order to have a great department, a great whatever it is you decide to get into, there needs to be that balance. So be yourself and bring your feminine qualities along with you, because we can do anything we set our hearts out to do.
Thanks so much for watching this episode of Depth of Field. If you'd like to get involved in CMAP and become a member, please give us a call at 408-846-4983, or you can email cmaptv@gmail.com. Or you can visit our website, www.cmap.tv. We'd love to have your participation as an adult or as a young girl or boy interested in learning how to be the media. We'll have summer camps every summer and also after-school programs starting up in the fall at Christopher High, Gilroy High, and in San Benito County. Hope to see you soon and look forward to another version of Depth of Field.